Bula, my name is Morika Hunter, and I am the chairperson in Fiji for the Fiji Business Disaster Resilience Council. We're a council made up of over 60 private sector members, and we were established last year, right after Cyclone Winston, in effort to make the private sector more efficient in response and preparedness for disasters, as well as bridging the gaps between private sector, government, and aid agencies. What we discovered was during Cyclone Winston, there was an immediate response from the private sector. The private sectors were the first people out in the field, before government, before any of the aid agencies. And what we discovered was that there was a lot of effort, massive efforts, relief. There was mobilization, logistics, everything was done very well, but what we found is that there was a lot of doubling up. There was really no coordination around the efforts in relief. So what we did was, after the cyclone in May, we had a lessons learned. We invited the public sector to come in and have a meeting with us, as well as the UN and several other aid agencies, and discuss what works, what doesn't work, where in the private sector are there gaps, and how can we fill these gaps. So what we've done is that we sat back and had a look at this, and then we thought, you know what, we can build a council, a Fiji Business Disaster Resilience Council that works towards closing the gaps. And these gaps exist because, number one, private sector, public sector, UN agencies and other humanitarian actors all speak a different language. They all speak different languages. And so when you're trying to work together, there's quite a bit of intimidation, there's different timelines, there's different understandings, so you really don't make much way forward. So what we've done is, we have monthly meetings right now with the Fiji Business Disaster Resilience Council, and in our meetings we have both the private sector as well as aid agencies and humanitarian actors. And they come in and we allow two presentations. There's one presentation from the private sector member, as well as a presentation from a UN agency or an aid organization. And the aim here is to educate about how do you engage, how do you discuss, how do you reach out and grab some funding or have joint PP systems in place? How do you create these partnerships? So that is the goal. And to get there and to do it well, there is an educational process. What we found in Fiji and in the Pacific is that and you'll have a look at the stats soon, but over 80% of businesses, if they do not open 30 days after a disaster, they will not open. Also in Fiji, over $350,000, it sounds like a small amount for some of the big countries, but for us it's a large amount, $350,000 in income was actually lost, as well as $32 million in gross revenue from the private sector. So these are pretty large and substantial numbers when you think of how hard the governments in the Pacific would work to get a $32 million investment into the country. So we all need to work together to make private sector more resilient, but also close and bridge the gaps. What we've done is that we've also discovered that 75% of businesses do not have business continuity plans. And 80% of businesses across the Pacific are small to mid-sized businesses. So naturally, they don't have all the planning and process in place to have and see through a disaster. Their basic survival is day to day, week to week, month to month. They're not planning on this massive influx and disaster and a need to keep their staff working and capable and the supply chains. They rarely think of that. So what we did in the Fiji Business Disaster Resilience Council is we worked with the South Pacific community and built a toolkit. And what this toolkit is, it's very simple, it's basic, it's 12 very easy steps, 12 minutes, 12 steps, for us to assess and work with businesses and our members and other SMEs in Fiji to make them come up with a business continuity plan and also ideas to create a more resilient private sector. So our other plan as well, and what we will be doing once we perfect this, is then rolling this out into other countries, Samoa, Vanuatu, Tonga, Nauru, and so forth. But again, Fiji is a great model. The other thing to keep in mind is when there is a disaster in the Pacific, the first to respond are your little Pacific Island nations. So we need to make sure our private sector is also ready to help other sister countries. So I've got the first video, which will just walk you through. The guy's not looking at me, excuse me. We'll just walk you through. And this is just, again, it has to be made simple, easy, and for all to understand. Can we do first video? Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
In 12 steps. What are your core products or services? What products or services are fundamental to the survival of your business? What are the essential roles and skills at the core of your business? Can others from inside or outside the business step in to complete these tasks? What equipment do you use that is critical to your business? What would you do if these were damaged in a disaster? What are the essential supplies you need ready to deliver your core products and services? Who supplies these resources, and are there alternative suppliers? If you have to, where could you temporarily relocate your business to in times of disaster? Could you share premises alongside similar businesses? Does your business have access to insurance, and can you protect yourself against business loss caused by disaster? How can roles be delegated if the manager or director is not available in a crisis? Who can step in to make decisions like sign checks, pay staff, etc.? Ensure you have multiple details on hand of your employees, key suppliers, insurance providers, and those you may need in times of disaster within your plan. Identify your backing up methods for your business records. Make sure to include any login details and passwords needed to access these records. Save this plan and ensure it can be accessed on laptops, tablets, or mobile phones easily at any time by you and your staff. Ensure all your staff are trained on emergency procedures for evacuation, locations of fire exits, safe areas in case of tsunami, assembly points, and emergency supplies. Schedule regular dates to run through it step by step with your entire team and update the plan yearly. Download our free, easy-to-use business continuity plan template at pipso.org.fj/stayopen and create one yourself using this quick 12-step guide. Reduce risk, be ready, respond accordingly, and recover quickly from any disaster. Keep your business doors open. Find out more at pipso.org.fj/stayopen.
So as you can see, these are 12 essential steps for businesses to continue, for businesses to thrive and have a plan in place so they can get through any disaster. And you might be thinking, well, why does this concern me? And it concerns you because our businesses employ people. They have communities. They look after communities. They affect women, children, men, everyone. Everybody is touched by businesses being ready, by businesses having a plan. If businesses do not have a plan in place, then obviously that will directly affects the communities in sense of income, in sense of future growth and employment and development. So it's critical that we have the plan in place. So as our job of the Fiji Business Disaster Resilience Council, our first step was to make sure that we do all we can to make sure our businesses are resilient. If they're not, then there's no use coming and engaging with UN agencies or any other humanitarian actors, because we'll need just as much help as everyone else. The plan here is to make us as resilient as possible, so then what we can do is take our resilience and work with you and make sure that our communities are more resilient. I've just got one more video for you, just to have a quick look at, and it's just got some stats around it. Thank you. And again, this is going to be available on websites. We will be conducting Train the Trainer sessions across Fiji and then eventually in the Pacific. We will also have a complete social media campaign. And the main point here is that this is very accessible for everyone in the Pacific as well.
1 in 4 businesses do not survive after a large disaster strikes, and 80% of businesses that do not recover from a disaster within 1 month are likely to go out of business. Research suggests businesses that are connected, informed, and able to adapt to change quickly are the ones that have a higher chance of surviving disasters. Who is in your network that you can connect with? Chambers of Commerce, business councils, business groups, and business networks from your ministry or Department of Trade. Which organizations in your community are the local authorities that determine evacuation orders, road closures, restricted movements, etc. during emergencies? Record all contact info and include this in your Business Continuity Plan, or BCP, to stay in touch and informed. If you have no BCP yet, download our free, easy-to-use template at pipso.org.fj/stayopen and create one yourself using our quick 12-step guide. Reduce risk, be ready, respond accordingly, and recover quickly from any disaster. Keep your business doors open. Find out more at pipso.org.fj/stayopen.
So they've given me 1 minute, but I would just like to emphasize that we have created this tool. It's a toolkit ready for businesses in the Pacific, and actually any business can use it to be prepared, be ready, assist in any way that we can with the communities by being prepared, engage with the communities, engage with the staff, and again, please engage with us. We're the Fiji Business Disaster Resilience Council, and we're here to assist you, other private sector companies and other countries in making all of the Pacific more resilient. So you've got a handout, and I'm sure you can all remember the website since it's been said about 10 times so far. And also we've got some USBs that you can take with you. But please contact us if there's anything we can do. And we look forward to your feedback. Does anyone have any questions quickly before I get kicked off the stage? Anything? Okay, lovely. Thank you very.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think it's a very useful case study there from Fiji. So just a quick question to know, have you been working with the business people themselves? So like I know business people are more interested in profit and looking at the immediate profit without looking at the long term. How do you try to sensitize them?
Thank you for that. This was actually created by members of the private sector. So they cut me off. So we have private sector members that are engaged with this. We have trained the trainers. For instance, like in Fiji, we have the large multinational company Nestle in Fiji that look after the Pacific. What we do is we work with Nestle, we go into the smaller communities, smaller retail shops, and ensure that they have the business continuity plans. Winston was a massive wake-up call for the private sector. We have great engagement, and again, they are members of our council. So what we're doing now is taking these members and educating their supply chains as well. Thank you for your question, and thank you all very much for your time. Thank you.